Welcome back to the A Girl's Guide 2 series. Now today I'm going to be driving a car which I was very lucky to drive 2 years ago in Italy. It's the Alfa Romeo 4C. Now I had the Spider and the weather. We're back in the UK and I've got a coupe and we're going to see how this little baby runs. This thing, you need to hold on tight when you are driving this, because if you are not, it is going to spit you out. So I am now in the Alfa Romeo 4C. Now this car kind of confuses me but also excites me at the same time. I mean, just looking at it from an outsider's point of view, so it's 240 brake, 258 foot-pounds of torque, and that's coming from a 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. And it is just extraordinary in a sense that the different elements of this car that make it into one are all kind of flawed, but when you throw it all together, it's like a really, you know when you get a milkshake and you put some really odd ingredients in it and then it actually tastes good? That is what I make of the 4C. Now this car is a fully carbon tubbed car, so the actual chassis itself altogether weighs 950 kilograms. The carbon tub itself is 65 kilograms. So it's incredibly light, and also, you know, McLaren, Ferrari, they're carbon tub cars. This is an Alfa Romeo. So you're kind of getting that baby supercar feel, but without spending all that money. It doesn't drive like a supercar though. It has an entirely different set of characteristics that I remember the first time I drove one of these, it kind of blew my mind, because I was like, who is this aimed at? It's a sports car, but it's such an interactive driving experience. There is no power steering in it. It's like a little Italian go-kart. If you're not entirely engaged with what you're doing in front of you at any sort of speed, it is going to let you go. You need to be so on point, but that's all part of the fun of the car. Like, you are so in the moment with it and you're just completely locked into the experience. Like, I'm just driving it now, you know, just doing 40 miles an hour, and it's quite, you know, it's low and it's very wide and feels very planted on the road, but you can feel every undulation, every movement in the road, like it's all being translated up through the floor, because this car, the suspension is quite hard. It's quite a sturdy ride, but when you actually start to get some speed up and start to take some corners, that's when this car really does come alive. It's quite heavy and a little bit, you know, cumbersome at low speeds, but when you start to get up to any sort of high speeds, it's sort of sniffing around the road. It's light. It wants to go. It's like a racehorse in a sense that as soon as you start to G it up, it's like, okay, all right, let's go. But it does make you smile. Like, I have really enjoyed these lovely country roads. I sort of come around here to do the A Girl's Guide 2 series, where I've got somewhere I can open the car up a little bit, see how it performs around the corners. This is just, I said it before, such an experience. I mean, quintessentially, the seats are rock hard. The ride is pretty hard as well. It's quite impractical. It's a low car. But if you had one of these, I've seen there's a lot of owners clubs and they do ignite this absolute passion. But I know why, because it is an event when you drive the 4C. You are not driving it, it's driving you, and you are along for the ride. It does make some pleasant noises when you're on the upshift. I mean, it's got that whistle, and then coming into corners, you can really sort of, yeah, look at this. It's very quick. Like, the car is, I think it holds the Nürburgring lap record for a car under something. But yeah, the driving experience is something that is entirely unique to this car. So we're going into a corner. Like, it kind of wants you to drive it, and drive it quite hard. Like, it's enticing you all the time with the way it reacts. So this car will actually do 0 to 62 in 4.5 seconds. Now, if you I'm in manual mode right now because you can put it in auto, but we all know auto is a bit boring. Third gear is where this car really sings. The pickup is really good. It is fast. Oh, it just feels so bizarre. I mean, that whole when you're driving a go-kart and you're really sort of locked in and you've got to really concentrate because it's a very raw driving experience. I genuinely would say, if anyone asked me to sum up the 4C in a few words, it would be that it is a very raw experience because you are really reconnecting with driving. I mean, it is an auto, but you can manual mode. I've been completely using it in manual mode. The only thing that does suck for me is this steering wheel. Like, it's flat bottom, but it's too beefy around the middle. It's the same as my Abarth, which makes sense because they're the same family. But yeah, if I had a little bit more grip here, then I could definitely get into it a little bit more. The cabin is small, the dashboard is quite plasticky, but that's not what you're sort of buying this car for. If it was about looks, from the interior's point of view, it's not a big winner. But exterior, it is a beautiful car. It is lovely to look at, and I've seen so many heads whip round as soon as it drives by. That's the great thing about the 4C. Like the milkshake analogy, there are some elements in there that you're kind of like, what? But thrown all together, and it creates this utter hilarious vehicle which makes you want to go out and drive. And surely isn't that the reason why we buy cars like this? Because it makes you want to get out. You might not have anywhere to go, but it makes you want to get out there and drive. I know this thing certainly does. Oh, we got someone behind us. Ah, yes, but that is the other thing. The rear view mirror is basically redundant. I can't see shit. This thing, would I have one? I would like to own one for a bit. It's not a car that I've ever craved, but it is one that I feel like if you are really, really into your driving, it's one that you should definitely experience. Yes! For watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for more coming in this series. Would you buy one of these? Let me know in the comments, but for me, I'm out.